What's going on? Move the mouse back in the town of Plainville Plus. I want to say it's episode number 18, but I am prone to losing track. One of the things I want to show you today, we actually just saw in one of the cinematics. It's some tweaks I did to the Rosewood neighborhood that we were working on in the last episode. So I want to just keep picking at little parts of the city, doing some decoration, but also doing some improvements, rehauling some of the transportation networks. And let me show you what I was working on. So quick little thing here at the end, but then a major project that I did, kind of phase one of remapping all this. And I did record some of that. I'll give you kind of a little before and after on kind of step one, where I started tweaking some of the ideas and moving some stuff around. But honestly, I've spent $1 million placing roads, tearing them out, redoing them, doing it section by section, and completely rebuilding the whole thing. It all starts kind of over here on the end, and this isn't even finished yet. I want to do this without snapping on to get this a little tighter based on this, the way this grid bends. It's a little tough. But essentially what's going on here, someone mentioned in the comments, and I want to say it was Casino, I apologize if I'm remembering wrong, that a lot of the traffic we were seeing over here was likely due to all the pedestrians that were crossing over. This is, let me zoom out. This is the very edge of the, what I've been referring to as this highway system, these double two-lane, one-way roads on either side with a tram network up the middle. And there was a lot of foot traffic happening over here. All we've done is a real basic footbridge that also connects down here, and people are very happy to walk across. And you'll notice in the background, there's very minimal pedestrian traffic now, where all these people that you're seeing walking around on screen were previously walking around across those intersections and slowing things down, coming in, definitely in, not so much out, but in and out of the city. Now, I did a couple things on the other end of the tram network. There's a little underground loop, and I've done the same thing here. So I think if I go into roads and just, yeah. So a little roundabout connects the tram depot up. I cleaned this up a bit as well. This is a little odd. This comes through the neighborhood, but I added in a pumping service because I was also doing some modifications trying to get the key wall kind of more even and just looking a little bit better in general. I tucked in a recycling plant over here. So the recycling trucks and the pumping trucks do go through the neighborhood, unfortunately, but it's not the end of the world. And then the tram network just has its own tram road that connects on the other side. So it's tram road out the parking lot and around the corner, and then tram only tracks the rest of the way. So the other thing that I made a modification on is this is all highway now. So I had quite this mess of spaghetti, and it still is a bit of spaghetti. Let me zoom out and show you kind of what it's looking like. But this was all dumping into one roundabout, if you remember before. Again, I'll show you a little before and after, just to kind of get a sense for what has changed. But where everything was coming into a roundabout in this one area, now I've really separated out the exits. So this one's particularly messy, but you know, look at it from this perspective. You got traffic going on and off the highway in both directions, and it dumps into our main street right here. The monorail tracks kind of break off on the side, and this is really tough to get looking good on console with no mods. So I'll be messing around with this some more. This was kind of, I don't know, stage 3, my third idea of things happening over here. But this connects the monorail station that also continues across the way to the amusement park. So that's how we're getting kind of traffic into the main downtown area. But what if you want to go, you know, out to Rosewood or to the train, metro, monorail station that's over there? Well, for that one, you would actually use this exit to connect into this highway system over here. So how does this one work? Well, it's a pretty, you got to kind of ignore this one. This first exit goes all the way around and is actually the exit for over here. So disregard that outer piece of highway. The piece that we're looking at here is it's a fairly standard trumpet interchange. So we have the traffic getting off the highway, and if you're getting off for either exit, you're going to be taking this off-ramp before you even get on the bridge. There's no exits that we have room for kind of these two ingress points onto the highway. So coming either direction. Actually, do I not have a highway exit getting off this way? Oh, of course I do. It's way back here, though. I can't believe I didn't notice that one. So, way back here before this bridge, there's an exit, but that's the only exit that we have. How did I miss that? Well, let's tunnel that underneath, I guess. We should be able to. We'll do a quick modification for now. That should be... Let's see if this... Can I get this around there? I mean, we could do that. It's a little bit abrupt. And then let's freeform it around a little bit. So we do something like that. I can't believe I missed that. So now we have traffic that is able to get on and off in both directions for both sets of those exits. So anyways, this dumps out over here. Getting back on the highway is a little abrupt and comes underneath the exit ramp. But once we get over here, it dumps into this half of the highway, but then I have turnarounds for people that wanted to go that way, or for people that want to get on the highway coming from this side, they can turn around and most likely, I'm imagining, get back on the highway right there. There we go. So is it perfect? Absolutely not. Does it do the job? Yeah, yes, it does. So let's see where we're at. Now we're a pretty small city at 47,000, and budget's razor thin right now. You'll see it go up and down into the green and into the red, back and forth. Don't worry about that. We're not looking at budget yet. What we're looking at is traffic, and 90%, that's not too bad. We're actually going to make it a little bit better, I think, in this downtown area, because things are a little crazy over here, and they're also just too tall everywhere. I want to start trimming this back, and that starts with some overhaul of the network of roads that's through here. Now, we might keep this residential pocket and see if we can just trim back on the other side, because this isn't bad kind of tucked in over here by itself. But on this side, I want this to slope down much more aggressively, because all of a sudden we've got these little houses over here, and it's too much. So I think this might be today's project, is kind of rebuilding this area. But again, I wanted to show you kind of what happened on some of this redesign. Let me see if I can zoom in just enough where you can see all the traffic, or at least all those exits. Yeah, that's actually not a bad spot right there. Can't see, the traffic on the far side of the bridge is committing to the exit lane early, but kind of get a sense for the flow of what's happening, getting people in and out of the city. And it certainly works a lot better than that roundabout did. There are spots where it looks pretty nice and spots where it looks pretty crazy and spaghetti. But again, once I figure out if I've forgotten anything like you just saw, I'll commit to tighten this up a bit more. But it's doing the trick functionally, and that is what is most important. So what do we do over here, right? Let's look at this again from a traffic view perspective. We've got our park over here. We're not going to eat into that, I don't think. But I think it makes sense to continue. This avenue right here is very kind of central to this area, right? Feeds a lot of traffic through here, right? And then it just sort of drops off. And I think we can start carrying these through, these ideas, these avenues, kind of bring them through a little bit more. So I think we're going to knock out a bunch of stuff over here in order to do that. But let's see what we can keep. First thing that we definitely want to do is this is going to continue over. You know, maybe where it meets, maybe that street. Let's see. Let's see what that looks like. We'll go with straight shot roads for now. So how do we get? It's going to force us to curve it there. Okay. Hold on a second. We got to make some room here. Okay, that's destroyed. We can pause it again. And let's come back in through here. So, you know, this is kind of curving, right, with the area. So we could look at bringing it back down here somewhere. But let's see what this curve looks like. So what if we get rid of all this? And what if this... Don't... Put the disasters away, mouse. You're gonna hurt somebody. Okay, so let's come out... You know, what if we did this? A little bit of a bend, but not too much. And kind of maintaining that theme. I think that could work. What if we do straight from here to here? That should work, right? So let's not bulldoze it. Let's move this for now, the transport tower. Or can we kind of tuck it out of the way for now? Can we? No way it'll fit right there, will it? What? It's going to break a couple walls, but I'll tuck that over there for now. That works. So I connected that one first because this is a really nice central artery, right? That road is, I think, important to continue on all the way through our zone. In fact, what if we bring this all the way over? Like that. I think that works. We're going to move a lot of people out, but we've got right now a lot of demand for residential and commercial. So we'll see how that balances itself out. But we can afford to eat into this commercial pocket. Obviously, if you don't have a lot of money in the bank, don't do things like this as fast as I'm doing them across such a large area, because this is really going to impact our taxes, losing all these businesses. The other one that's kind of key is going to be these roads that come out through here, and specifically this one drops off at the courthouse. So I think this one's going to be more important at carrying traffic through. So how does that kind of line up with our zoning up on the other street? Not spectacular. I feel like we're wasting a lot of room there. Let's see. Do we just gut this? You know, do we? Because this one's crooked, and that's throwing us off. This is at least built on a straight idea here. You know, do we do something like that? Because then we're going to have another intersection really close right here. And maybe we should come in and feed a bit up off of this street. Let's take this out. And anybody that's not obviously on a street, because we don't want these to stay. Some of these might stay a little crooked and off the road if depending on how we build the zoning back up. So let's just take the safe approach and move all those people out. And now I think what we can do is come up kind of at this angle, right? So let's get a road in there that we're going to delete so that we can play off of that. So like that. Let's see if it'll let me get one more of these in. See, like, I don't want to eat into that zoning up there. Up behind here. I want those buildings to stay the way they are. So that actually works. We're going to do high density on the main street and then low density everywhere else, I think. So that this immediately steps back down. Why does this one square, it's just a little crooked? Right, that only goes one square back. Somehow we pinched off the rest of the zone. That one actually should stay. Let's not mess with those. In fact, I think let's look at potentially rebuilding this area down here. So is this a little too crazy? Just maybe. Can we get, can we get something in here? It wants to curve it a little bit. It's going to eat into that zoning. I mean, let's just rebuild this whole half over here. Be very careful doing this much change at once. We'll see what this does to the budget. It's probably going to be absolutely crippling. I think we're going to get rid of the helicopter lines also. I might put one back in just to have a couple buzzing around, but I'm not really focused on them efficiently moving people around the city. It was more... Come on. It was more just for the fact of kind of showing that off in the DLC. So we've got some weird lines happening here. I don't mind them. So what if we did something like that? And what if we connected this? What is, it's the footpath. We'll just connect it in that way. But we're going to keep this kind of angled approach going. Let's do it where we've got a little bit of room between the highway and there. So it's just a little weird, a little wacky and wild. I'm okay with it. Do we have... Yeah, I think we connect this in. And this is where things get crooked. So let's connect back. Can we get parallel to that? That works pretty well. What if we connect from this street? Right, if we go above that node, it starts to get a little crooked and also wouldn't line up with that particular node. So this is going to be a little strange in here. We're going to want to look at districts also before I let all these people move back in. Okay, so this is where things get a little crazy. So I think this should... Let's see how we can get this to line up. So what does this do? Let's do that. So we'll delete this. We'll connect through here. And then we'll connect this up. I think that works. Let's look at it just kind of from a grid perspective. It's certainly a lot cleaner of a grid. We're going to have some interesting smaller buildings because of the way the zoning overlaps a little bit. Let's take a quick look at districts. So what is this really? It specifies that it's Old Town. So the only people kind of coming into here, and this makes sense, right? You don't want people coming up into this zone unless they're really going here. If you want them to go up to the main street, you want them to take this exit off the highway here or come up along this strip, take that roundabout into the center of town, at least for now. So I think that works, right? We don't want people entering this district if they're not doing business in it. But do we continue that all the way up here? I think is the question. I mean, I know it's the question because that's the thing that I am asking myself right now. So maybe, let's see. I don't want to go too far, but I definitely don't want to impact businesses that are already there. They're covered by this really odd shaped district, which again itself is Old Town. So the only way you're really coming in and out of here is if you're coming from an adjacent district, or if you're coming from to do business and getting off the highway on this side. Hopefully we're making a lot of people use mass transit and foot traffic travel. So this is kind of gray area right here, right? I don't really know the science behind it. Is it that the road is covered, that zoning is it's adjacent to? Or is it that the building itself is covered? You know, if I do this, like, you know, the street is there, but the majority of the building isn't. How does that work? What do you have to have actually covered by the district for the rule to take effect? I don't know. We may find out someday, but today is not that day. So this is really kind of off on its own right now. We'll connect this into the main street there. That's fine. So we've got Old Town already stamped on that. And for those of you that don't know, that means if you are going to this district, well, I guess if you're traveling into this district, it's because it's your destination, and people won't travel through it to get from, say, the north side over here. They won't travel through here to get down to the Laurel district because they can't. They're not allowed to use cars. At least they can walk through. They can take mass transit, and hopefully this will cut off in just the right way. So what do we have demand for it now? We got a ton of demand for commercial, and I'm going to switch to the fill tool for a minute because this is right. That's particularly messy. Let's break that. And then we'll have this fill in with a commercial pocket over here for right now. Kind of on this top side. We might get more demand for office in a moment. Depends on what I do with that residential demand. Maybe we move a couple people in over here. So before anybody moves in, let's do this. Let's take all this down. Right. Do that. Because I want to apply a high-rise ban here as well. And I guess I could have done that and it would have moved out temporarily those buildings, but so let's see what this looks like all filled in. And then we'll probably knock this out to make room for more residential. Do we have green cities on the other side? We do. Okay, totally forgot to put high-rise ban on. Now it is in place. Let's see, we've got our residential demand being met right now. Our commercial unfortunately tanked pretty fast, but you can see as the residential kind of settles in, we're going to start seeing demand for industrial, which we can meet with office, start to creep up. I have been taking the city through some major ebbs and flows. I wonder if we can look at city info. How far back do the statistics go? Oh, they go way back. All right. So population changes. We got up to 90,000 to unlock those monuments, and then I absolutely crashed the city, built it back up a little bit, and then looks like another decent drop off. But then we've been pretty consistent around 50,000, but we just had a couple big dips, and sees it goes up and down. Some of that is tied to birth rate and death rate, which, you know, kind of go up and down together as people move in at similar rates. You get big pockets of people. But some of those big population shifts are definitely because of things like I just did. I believe we had a cemetery in here. So maybe we make that a little... How bad is that? That's eating into the... We'll get some smaller businesses around the station here. So it's a little weird having something like, a restaurant tucked away back here. Maybe, maybe I do go with a higher density commercial. I don't know. Let me know what you think. It's a little unorthodox. I guess it's not too totally out of place. We'll have to see what it looks like more filled in. We're kind of flattening our demands right now. Definitely tanking our money a bit. We're spending a lot of money on things like, the collider to provide education to everybody. We don't have that many people. When you have 90,000 people and this is providing all your education, it's saving a lot of money on schools. When you have half that, 47,000, you're spending a lot of money on something that's designed to support a lot more people. Now you can come into things like budget and turn down, your education budget. We could turn down things like med for sure, because we have the med center basically providing coverage for the entire city. Problem is that turns down the number of ambulances and hearses. And that's the bigger problem, because people aren't sick, but they do die. And if you don't have the budget up or have, waste a bunch of money on coverage, it kind of affects things in a negative way, which is unfortunate. So you can kind of balance it and mess around with it. I'm going to commit to losing a bit of money for a while until we move more people in. And, if we get down into the single millions, if we get below 10 million, then I'll start to worry about it a little bit. But we should be okay for a while to let, the demand kind of creep back up and get things happening again in the city. It's going to be... Let's move this back before anybody gets too settled in. And where can we kind of put this? Can I get this in here? What is here? Oh, just barely too big. That will fit though. And I think that's actually pretty good. Maybe we can plant some trees or see what it looks like when people move in there. But this is kind of nice because it is just one block off the center. You've got these three kind of tall structures, or three very tall structures centralized in the downtown. And we'll see what it looks like on this side as we move away from high density commercial into the smaller businesses almost immediately. Apartment buildings, couple blocks here across the little highway. I think that works. I think that would kind of be okay, but let me know what you think. If we should flatten out the edges a little bit more, like if we had, shorter commercial on the edges and the taller, still high-rise band residential tucked in behind it, that might look a little cool. Demand-wise, still tons of residential. So do we shift this balance over here a little bit and say, since it's not moving in anyways, move some of these people out? I know we just moved them in, but I think this works. Pause. I want to break these, cause these people to move out. So we'll commit that to residential since that's our biggest demand. One more pocket here. And then we can have a little commercial and office in there. We've still got room where we can rebuild this a bit. This is still a little sloppy in here. Maybe we can look at that next. But with all that residential, that should have enough people moving in, which will then put more of a demand on places to work. Let's see what our unemployment's at. 5%. It's not terrible. It's not bad at all, actually. I mean, that's totally fine. It'd be great to be at 0, but it's unrealistic in my builds, at least. There's always a problem, one way or another. So I think this is going to be really nice with those much shorter structures in there. Maybe we move the collider up to the campus area. Could work on this a bit. Now, this is a little all over the place right now itself. Kind of built on the curve. There's some crazy hills. It doesn't look too terrible, but it's definitely in a bit of a valley there. I do want to take a look at some of the city services in the next episode or two. We're pretty good on fire and police coverage, but maybe we can make things overlap a little better with less buildings and save a bit of money there. Health coverage, we're doing really well with 0, 6 citizens. And what do we have? You know, we've got a couple buildings that boost health. You know, I kind of tried to throw those things in there. And then I think there's like 1 clinic left, if I remember, right here on kind of the main little downtown area, which I don't even think we need at this point. We can look at how those new zones and things are affecting our traffic. We're at 90%, but you can see, you know, we've got a couple things happen, a couple pop-ups about death. That's not that terrible. But overall, I mean, the businesses there are healthy, and the place where we have the most traffic is in our industrial area. It's in the red, but it's moving. There's no terrible backups. And same sort of thing. This is also industrial traffic over here. And we do have an industry area kind of smack in the middle. Had a nice fire here the other day when I was tearing apart the highway on the other side. Nice to see that all grew back. Oh, and then another thing. I was messing around with a bunch of ideas over here. Let me show you kind of some ideas that I have for a future build. And sorry while I fly the camera around a bit. So what do we do over this way? And I actually might be good to give you a quick flyby. This way, we've got where this highway, 2-lane, 1-way grass-lined streets, no parking, very occasional intersections. And then we've also got the tram line running up the middle here. So this is moving a lot of people up and down this area with very minimal car traffic because it is Old Town. It is a commercial strip all the way up and down with residential areas tucked in on the left and right. And because it's Old Town, if you're coming here, you can take a car. But if you're planning on traveling somewhere else, like I said earlier, it forces you to take some other method of transit, even if it's your own feet. And it keeps things moving, and now it's all decorated with trees. I like it. I did something a little different here at the park with some park tiles and colorful trees just to make things look a little different at the park area. And then that all dumps down into what we saw at the beginning of the episode. So this is a 6-lane. This is a 6-square spread on roads. So if you come from here, 240. And that should basically be, 6 units of space. And that allowed me to kind of bend it and curve it and wrap it through and still have this little node you can snap to in the center. Any smaller than that, and it's really tough to do on console without mods, and on PC without mods for that matter. So 6 space minimum, kind of what you should be looking at there for what I did with that quote unquote highway. Now this is a 10 square space between roads. So basically if you come out the next big line on a 2-lane road, you'll be able to do your zoning right up next to one another. If, however, you have 4-lane roads, just keep in mind, you still come out 10 units. But if you do that, you have less space in between because the roads themselves eat up more room. So if you're doing 2-lane roads, it's a 10-unit space to have this tram track kind of right in the middle. It's more space than we saw in my build, but it also gives you more room to zone and potentially build, things like commercial buildings along in between these tram tracks. Now, I started messing around with a couple other ideas, and this is 8 zone space between 2 2-lane roads again. And this allows you to center metro tracks. So if we wanted to do metro instead of tram, cool thing there is you can go with above road tracks. You could go elevated. You can also go underground. And it does some cool stuff there. But I did the 8 square space because the on ground is a little lopsided. And if you want them to line up next to one another, whether you're going, say, aligning a station to the top road, Crowley Street, or to the bottom road, Poplar Street, when you're spread that far apart, it's going to keep that metro track running nice and centered along that block, which is why I did that. But this has even less space for zoning, 2 units on either side. So if you wanted to build some commercial space in there, you could do that. This is the above ground station, and this one actually I was looking at potentially spacing like that, 4 units of space. So that's a 6 zone, 6 clicks between roads. And that allows you to do some zoning on either side of the track. Very small zoning, right? 1 square on either side of the track. If you just wanted to kind of commit to running this sort of up the middle, it's the kind of spacing that you would need. But here's the thing that I'm potentially excited about. Or I shouldn't say excited about, potentially. I am excited about potentially including this in a future build, and that is this kind of space here, the 10 space between 2 roads with the tram running up the middle. But then you could also occasionally hook in monorail stations. Now, monorails are inherently more limited than metros now, because metros can go below, on, or above ground. And you can really kind of wrap things out anywhere you want to go. With the monorail tracks, you can go up, sure, but you cannot go any lower than that. So it's always going to be an above ground thing. Now, you can, of course, come over roads and do things like that, get crazy curves and come back and connect over multiple wrapping around areas. That, of course, eats up zoning. But I thought this would be really cool to be able to run, maybe tram around the outside of a city and then have something like this kind of providing service inside the city. If we have a monorail inside a high density futuristic build, something I've been wanting to do. So let me delete all this because everything costs money to upkeep, and there's no point in losing money to a bunch of tracks that are just sitting over here with nothing running on them. And I think all the buildings are turned off. They are. So we've got a bunch of roads we don't need, but I did want to show you some of the things that I was just poking around with. And this concept has me kind of excited about incorporating tram, monorail. Maybe we'll even get some metro mixed in there. But some really cool stuff for what to do with some newer options and some ways to change things up. Even though it's a bit of just a expansion on this idea, I really like how this section of the city looks, and I like how it functions, and I would like to continue that and incorporate some of those ideas again in the future builds. So hopefully you enjoyed today's video. We'll keep tackling little projects in the city and seeing what we can fine tune and tweak and improve as we continue to refine Plainville Plus. Hopefully you're enjoying. If you did, likes, comments, shares, they all help the channel so much, and they are all so greatly appreciated. If you're new here, subscribe for more and consider hitting the bell to get notifications for updates in this and other series. Stay tuned for weekly cities content and some more indie games coming soon. If it's not something that you care to follow, that's totally fine. Definitely stay tuned for the city stuff, but there'll be other indie games, so hopefully you check out some of that. If you'd like to support the channel, links to that and lots of other things in the description down below. But until the next one, this is Move the Mouse, signing off.